Question of the day. Is the Sony ECM-B1M the best all-around shotgun microphone for the Sony camera? Let's see.
They don't think we can keep making hits about cameras. But I'm the cameraman. But I'm the cameraman. Stay creamy. Yeah, started on a 50 mil lens.
Hey, if this is your first time coming to the channel, I'd like to welcome you. This is Lessons Learned with Cameras. My name is Willie. So about 4 months ago, I purchased the Sony ECM-B1M. Kind of around the same time I purchased my G1. And with that being said, probably won't be purchasing the B10, just mainly because I don't really have a need for it. Nothing to do with the performance of either mics. Just like the G1, the Sony ECM-B1M makes use of the Sony's multi-interface hot shoe, meaning it delivers the ability to record audio from the mic to the camera without the use of a cord. I picked up the B1M for my ZV-E10 since I'm currently using my G1 on my Sony ZV-1. Now I'll give it to you up front, the biggest con with this microphone, unlike the G1 that has the ability to utilize the 3.5 cord, you don't have that option with the ECM-B1M. Oh, I forgot to put it out in the beginning of the video, but I'm currently kind of testing the ECM-B1M on my Sony ZV-E10 up against my X1M on my FX3 and the ECM-G1 on my 6100, just kind of to see what it sounds like, compare it against these two other mics while it's in the studio. So that way at the end, I'm not stuck trying to do a separate test for it. Now, when you compare the price points of these three microphones that are in this category, which is the G1, the B10, and the B1M, you have the B1M that launched around September 2019 at a price point of $348. While the ECM-B10 comes in at $249 and the G1 comes in at $129. I'm really impressed with the sound quality being recorded with the ECM-B1M, especially when I compare it to my in-studio microphone, which is my XM1 with the XLR handle on my FX3. This one sounds more tinny, and even though I'm about the same distance apart from both mics, with this being here and this one being over here, for some reason, I like the sound. I prefer the sound coming out of the B1M over this one. It just sounds richer and more fuller. So with the B1M, you have three polar pickup patterns. First one being the super cardioid. That's the one I'm using right now in the studio, so you can hear how that sounds in the studio. I'll also do a test out in the field with it, but this is what you get for the super cardioid polar pattern. Next one being cardioid. Now this is cardioid in the studio environment. Now keep in mind too that I don't have wall treatments or anything like that. Probably more of a fuller, a little bit of tinny sound, probably not as voice focused as the super cardioid one is, but still this is what you get for the cardioid polar pattern. And the last one is omnidirectional. Now this one's picking up sound in a 360 pattern, and ideally this isn't what I would use in my studio just because my studio's in my basement, and right now my furnace just kicked on, so you're probably hearing that noise. There's probably a little bit of hissing in the background or whatever from lights running and so forth. So this wouldn't be ideal for me in a studio environment, but again, this is what it sounds like, and I just want to give you an example of this one. Next, you have ATT, which is attenuate, which helps you reduce the volume of the audio that's being recorded. Then you have a filter with three options. You have noise cut, low cut, and off. Low cut will reduce some of that low rumbling noise you get from AC units or like my furnace here in the basement or wind on a windy day. Noise cut will kind of cut those little pitches out in the audio to keep you from clipping. Now, if you're in a noisy environment, the noise cut will kind of cut through all that to kind of focus more on the audio itself versus the environment noise around you. And last but not least, you have the auto and manual mode. Pretty self-explanatory. Auto mode overrides any of your audio settings that's in the camera, and therefore the mic takes control of all your audio settings. Manual gives you full total control of it, and that way you can set your desired audio settings that you want. Now I'm gonna go ahead and head out into the field and do a field test, pretty much testing some of the settings on the ECM-B1M and do a little bit of a test against the G1 just to see what it sounds like in super cardioid mode when you're standing behind the mic. So right now I'm currently using the Sony ECM-B1M with the Sony ZV-E10 11mm f1.8, and I'm conducting the field test here in the backyard versus being at the Riverwalk where I usually am. This time of year they start draining the river, cleaning it out, and then also my secondary place they're doing the same thing also. So for B1M settings, you have the attenuate is on 10 dBs, low cut filters off, it's on super cardioid mode, it's on manual mode, and the volume set to 6. So how does that sound for sound quality? There's a little bit of ambient noise in the background, but I don't know how much is being reduced or eliminated from the sides, but see if you can tell compared to the next one. Now for this test, everything's the same. All I did was switch the polar pickup pattern to cardioid mode just to see how this sound. I'm assuming that's probably going to be more of a richer sound, but again, you are letting in more of the ambient noises to the left and the right of the microphone. How does that sound for sound quality? And this one is the omnidirectional one. Now this is my least favorite one. A lot of people prefer this over the other two polar patterns. With the omnidirectional, you're getting 360 sound, so it should be picking up more of the ambient noises from the left, right, and the rear of the camera along with the front. So how does that sound for sound quality? I think there are times where this would be beneficial, but for most of the times, for what my intended use is for this microphone, I really don't have a use for it. Now I'm just going to play around with some of these other settings on the B1M. Right now it's at super cardioid mode, and it's on, the attenuate is on 0 dBs, the filter's on low cut, still in manual mode, volume still 6, and all these tests are done with the digital, not the analog. So what does that sound like for sound quality? Now for this one, the attenuate is set to 20 dBs, the filter's on noise cut, still on super cardioid mode, manual, digital, volume's at 6. So what does that sound like for sound quality? Okay, this one, the polar pattern is set to omnidirectional. The attenuate is on 10 dBs, and I have the filter set to low cut, still manual mode, digital, volume's at 6. And this is what you get with these settings for sound quality. And this one is in auto. So me personally, I don't like using the B1M in auto over like when I use my ECM-G1. I don't care, that could be in auto. But with the B1M, you get all these controls of your audio settings. You might as well utilize it, try to learn it, and definitely get a better sound quality. Now the mic is only about that far away from me, so still the same distance, kind of the same distance you would get if you were holding out a selfie stick, recording it. But I'm going to go ahead and do a walking test. Can't really do a mic test without doing some little bit of walking, and we're going to see what that sounds like. But since we know this is the ZV-E10 with the 11mm, you got to have it on a gimbal, so let me get my gimbal for that. Now I forgot to do the testing the super cardioid polar pattern standing directly behind the mic, and this is with the B1M directly behind the mic. What does that sound like for sound quality? Now I'm going to go ahead and compare this against the G1 to see if there's that big of a difference, especially with these different price points. So let me put that on and see how that sounds. And this is using the ECM-G1, and this is pretty much in auto mode. Just want to see what that sounds like for sound quality, see if that's picking up pretty good. And do you like this better than the B1M? Quick walking test. Right now the polar patterns in super cardioid mode, and the attenuates 10 dBs, digital, filters set to off, manual mode, volume zone 6. So what does that sound like? Hopefully it's cutting out the ambient noises or reducing it on the sides, and the back, eliminating it altogether. Just a quick walking test. Now let's do a quick omnidirectional. This is pretty much me in front of it, and this is me on the side of it, trying to keep the same distance away from it. This is me directly behind it, and now on the other side. So that's what it sounded like, 360 all the way around. I tried to keep my arm still out so it could be the same amount of distance, not to come directly up on the mic. But again, this is an option if you want to pick up more of the background noise and kind of try to immerse the audience into whatever it is that you're videoing. And the last one I'm going to do is the cardioid polar pattern. Again, this is in front of it, and this is on the side, and this is directly behind it. Don't know how much it's picking up. Hopefully it's eliminating most of the noise. This is on the other side of the mic, and this is back in front. Again, cardioid polar pattern, all the same manual settings, or just like it was for the previous test. So that's pretty much what you get. Now there's so many different ways or configurations you can set these settings for manual. That's the pros of using manual mode over auto. But then it's a con for doing tests like this, because it would be like one different variant in each test, and man, this video would be like almost 30 minutes long, close to 40 minutes. But this just to give you kind of a quick idea of what you're looking at for the sound quality you can get with the ECM-B1M. Quick wrap-up conclusion. I do like the sound quality that can be recorded with the Sony ECM-B1M. Second, well, the biggest downfall with this microphone, let me hit that right now, is it lacks versatility, meaning you can only use it in the Sony ecosystem. And even with that being said, I mean, I can't use it on all my Sony cameras. Like I can't use this with the ZV-1, it won't work. And when I use it with earlier models like the 6100 or my camcorders, the AX53s, I can only use it in analog mode. So again, biggest downfall, lack of versatility, and second would be price point. And then when you compare that to like the Rode NTGs or other microphones out there at that same price point or less, I mean, it's about equal sound quality. So probably another hard pill to swallow. But again, just my take on it. I love it. I bought it for my ZV-E10. That's what I'm going to keep it on, and I have no issues with it. So if you like this video, want to see more like this, don't forget to subscribe. If you felt anything in this video was informative or beneficial, feel free to drop a like, and I will see you in the next video.